go ahead, like for the people that might be just now tuning in, can you introduce yourself and your story?
Hello, world. My name is Bennie Denson, and if you just now catching in, I've been giving the story about my case and my wrongful incarceration or wrongful imprisonment, and that's what we've been doing thus far.
Okay. Um, Also, I saw that you had posted a picture with you and your babies. Did they just come to visit recently?
Oh yes, my grandbabies. Yes,
Grandbabies, you don't look like nobody's papa.
that's what they tell me. They be looking crazy when they hear them yelling "Grandpa, Grandpa." They can't believe it.
Yeah. So how long, if you don't mind me asking, like past the part of the sentence that actually you were supposed to serve, right?
Hmm.
Beyond that, how long has it been since you've been apart from your babies and grandbabies?
Well, that's 2009. That's how long it's been. June of
Ooh,
2009.
that my son was born in 2009.
Yeah, that's how long it's been.
Craziness. Well, God bless you. God bless your family for keeping you, your family and stuff like that this whole time.
Oh yes,
That's
yes. Been working tremendously with that. Like I've been having a good relationship with them, as you can see. Now my grandbabies.
yeah. Well, I'm glad they know you.
Oh yeah, they very much know me.
Yeah. They look like you too. They look like you.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't know if I can chuck that to my daddy's genes or my genes, but I look just like my daddy. My son
Mhm.
look just like me, and I guess his kids now look like me, or look like
Well, good job. Good job.
us.
Okay, so back into our interview.
Hmm.
We're on interview question number 5 because I believe that we went over 4, which was the inconsistencies, right?
I can't even. I just been talking. So
I'll be keeping track. I'll be keeping track.
okay.
Uh, okay, so question number 5 is um, do you recall what evidence that you offered per your defense?
Well, there's a difference when you say offer. We, I gave my attorney evidence that I thought would be vital for my case, which was the the initial car. I wanted him to present evidence showcasing that that car was my mother's car, and then on top of that, I had my own vehicle that was under my name. That never got produced. I felt like that was like one of the major pieces of evidence in the case, regardless of the phone calls and the GPS positioning and all that. I believe the story behind the ownership of this car would have crucially hurt the prosecutor's defense had we
Mhm.
been able to prove that that wasn't even my car. The
Yeah.
the whole narrative of that case was that this car was supposed to be the suspect car, and that they said they were looking for a red car, and just so happened my mom had a red car in the residency where my name and address is associated to. So rather than going to find out whose car this was, they just associated it to me because it was at the address where my license was at, which I didn't even live there. So,
Yeah. Well, that to me that's pertinent because, like, yeah, once upon a time I did used to stay with my mom, and on my ID, whatever ID I had at the time, definitely matched her address, you know.
mm,
But I don't know where the heck my mama is these days, so I don't know what she doing. She could be doing God knows what. You know
well,
what I'm saying?
like I said, that specific day, nobody really knew, especially me, what I was
Mhm.
doing on this specific day since it was 3 months from the time that I initially got arrested. So when my mom was trying to figure it out, the only reason it became of a memory of her is
Mhm.
because once I finally told her the date, when she got to understand the day, she just went and
Mhm.
looked at the calendar and like said she knows it's her birthday. Every year is her birthday, of course. And up until my grandma passed, that's what she did for her birthday every year. Make sure that weekend she went to go see her mom and father until they both passed.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
you actually really had a solid, like not an alibi, but a solid like.
I could have excluded that car. That car was what heavily linked to me. Without that car being a piece of evidence, they had nothing to hold me down. Nothing.
Yeah, okay. So, was there anything else that you wanted to tackle underneath that same question, or?
Well, just the fact that my team at the time, they tried to tell me that they didn't have the powers to subpoena such records, that a judge would have to, basically sign off on that type of ordeal. Whether that's true or false is here or there, but I believe if a defense person that you work for and they're
Mhm.
giving you liable evidence that needs to be investigated versus what could be the verdict or the outcome of a case. And I feel like that being able to prove that car wasn't mine, and then
Mhm.
being able to also showcase that it wasn't even in the county that this crime happened in during the time of the crime.
Yeah.
That right there would have, I believe that was that, like I said, that was probably the most valuable evidence for either side, regardless of what we could have did with the cell phone and the GPS positioning and all that. Because like I
Yeah.
said, the whole case, they wouldn't have never charged me, I believe, after reading the paperwork and
Mhm.
seeing that once the victim witness, whoever she was, once she gave recognition to this vehicle, which in
Mhm.
her words stated it looks like it could be, that's when I got the charges filed on me. So that lets me know, after reading all what led up to this case and reading the order that the judge gave for my arrest warrant, I was like,
Mhm.
well, damn, they don't really need that much to go arrest somebody. But at the same time, an arrest warrant was issued for my arrest, and that's how it went. So I feel like, yeah, if that car wasn't an issue, then I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because like they can go all the way out of their way to get whatever evidence they need against you, but they can't go out of their way to get evidence like to defend you. Like
It's one of the
even if you already know exactly where to find it, they're just like, oh, it's out of our hands or
Well, it's not
whatever.
even that it's out of their hands. They would never do it. The prosecution, they would never do anything that would help the defense. Never. That's why I
Yeah.
believe there's at least 80% of the people incarcerated, at
Yeah.
least the people I've ran into, their
Well,
cases
but
are so bad
that should be
that
automatic though. That should be automatic though, because
nah,
because we're talking about this as far as like the system goes, right?
hmm
So the system needs to be obviously like reformed highly, because if the prosecution has access to enough information and be able to make it available to them to try somebody for a crime or whatever, or to put a crime on somebody, then the defense, like the what do you call it, like the public defenders, they should be automatically financed and funded enough so by the government that they have the same exact power to be able to defend somebody. Otherwise, it's not fair.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
see,
because everybody has a right to a free and fair trial, but that's not exactly the case. This is sort of this to me. This is sort of like whenever they were saying that segregation was like not, it was like people were still receiving equal education, but in reality, you're giving the hood kids the books that's falling apart, and water stains all over the books, they ripped and stuff like that. That's seeming to be the case here to me.
yeah. Well, I'm not. I don't think I'm blowing a whistle to this. I'm pretty sure the public knows by this time now what pretty much goes on within the jail, all the way from
Yeah,
the arrest warrant to a conviction to
yeah.
being housed in the penitentiary. But through my understanding, I
Oh, and
know at least in,
we're not saying that it was any individual specific intentions.
well, I'm
I'm
just
just
I'm just
saying that
giving my opinion
yeah,
on the fact that, like you said, if they had this evidence, why wouldn't they turn it over or let it be used? Well, it really goes beyond the scope, and I don't need to touch on this, but I will say it because I know a lot of people are probably listening to me. But the public doesn't really know much about
Mhm.
us when we break the law, and now where we have to, suffer the consequences of the laws that we broke. But in all actuality, crime was made to make money off of when slavery got in. And
Mhm.
we all know the history about once slavery was ended, you can get a charge for not having on the right shoes on a specific day because you were black. We all understand that the rules were against, and I'm again not trying to make this racist. I'm just trying to make it be understood that the system is about money. If you
Yeah.
don't have enough money for what they say, a private attorney versus a public defender, then you already start the narrative of what's going to happen to you in the courtroom. You don't
Yes.
have money for an attorney. A public defender works 300 to 400 cases a
Yeah.
month,
That's a lot for anybody. And that's
and
that right there. That right there is perfectly worded because we're not up here creating narratives. We're just stating facts.
yeah, and see that another thing nobody knows, and I don't know if it's changed since then, but
Mhm.
I know at least when I was fighting my case back in 2009, an attorney told me, a public defender, straight up told me, they don't get paid until a conviction is made or some pink paper is being signed off.
So they got motivation behind all this.
That's the motivation.
They
We
don't get
need
they don't
you
get
to
to feed their
sign
family.
because
They
I
don't
got
get
to
to
get
feed
my
their,
check.
so in other words, they can't feed their family until they put people in
Yeah,
jail.
so that means that you're going to get the bare minimum of attorney, what they call due process, and being afforded a public defender. You get the
Hmm.
very minimums. And when they say the very minimums, that means you're just appointed an attorney,
Hmm.
might not even have a private investigator with it. And he's going to show up to your preliminary, your district, your
Hmm.
arraignment. That's what they consider the bare minimums. Now, the knowledge that they have, because public defenders are knowledgeable just like street attorneys, but
Hmm.
they neglect to use that knowledge, being that they're not being paid. They're getting
Hmm.
a basic docked pay for being a public defender. So to get the big bucks like a private attorney would get, they
Yeah.
don't offer up that evidence or information because of
Yeah.
the price range of your help. So if you don't got that much money, this is how much help you're going to get for your case. And I know a lot of people be like, well, maybe you shouldn't do crime if you don't have the money or you can't face the consequences. Yeah, you can say that, and I believe that as well. But it's way deeper than that, because if you can believe that, then they can just throw a crime on anybody.
Yeah.
Police
And
have
it's not even, to me, that's not even a good thing to say because some of these things are like just deeper than surface. Like if you grow up in a certain way, or if you grow up around in a certain environment and things like that, sometimes you're low key, like just like in prison, I'm sure. Like you're low key forced into scenarios that the average person that isn't um like surrounded by those things, like
no, I'm glad you said that, because
because
there was a
it's
situation.
one thing for somebody that lives in the suburbs to say like, well, just don't do that. But it's a whole nother thing to take a little boy that's in the hood, maybe he got a single parent household and he's getting beat up every day,
Mhm.
around the same time whenever he's walking to school by a group of kids. So then, oh, I want to join this other group of kids that maybe, low key giving me protection so that I don't get jumped every day.
Yeah, I
Type.
mean that
Well, they
goes to
don't
say.